Wow. Rank these movies from best to worst. Asking me to pick between the best of these movies is like going to a cow farm and asking me to pick out the best smelling pile of manure. And the best movie on this list, on a scale of 1 to 10, is probably a 6 at best. But since I have to pick, here we go. The best on this list to me is Daredevil. And the only reason why is because it kind of holds a special place in my heart, because I actually like seeing Daredevil on screen for the first time. Now, mind you, when I first saw this movie, I was only probably about 12 or 13 years old. Second is X-Men Origins Wolverine. For some odd reason, I did love this movie. And the story wasn't really all that, but, I mean, hey, second best of the worst. Third on this list for me is Ghost Rider. Now, this movie wasn't terrible, but it just didn't capture me like I thought that a Ghost Rider movie would. Meaning that I thought it would be a little bit more grittier and darker. Now it's really time for the best of the worst. The fourth one for me is Ninja Turtles 3. And this is just my nostalgia kicking in. Now, I saw this movie probably as a 5 or 6-year-old, I'm guessing. So I thought this movie was a hell of a lot better than it was when I was a kid. Because, come on, when you're a kid, you don't really have that good taste in movies. But then again, when a movie is ass, it's really ass. And this was the worst out of that trilogy that we grew up with. Next one is Elektra. Now, the only reason why this movie is somewhat passable to me, even though it's still trash, is the fact that it's got a lot of martial arts movie elements. And Jennifer Garner did the best she could with this role, but, I mean, overall, a very forgettable movie. Next is Green Lantern. Now, we know that Ryan Reynolds has done a hell of a job redeeming himself with the Deadpool series and movies following this one, but come on, this is one of Ryan Reynolds' worst performances. The special effects were garbage, the story was garbage. I'm going to tell you what would have saved this movie, is if they would have played up on the fact that it's a bad movie and been self-aware about it, and if it would have just been played off as a comedy. The Fantastic Four. I'm going to tell you what really killed this movie. Not only did they go away from the source material somewhat, and not only were the special effects horrible, but this came out in the era of Marvel movies that was so damn good. It came out in the MCU era. That was the worst era for a movie like that to come out in. So, I think I rated this movie like a 2 out of 10, and that was being generous. The second to worst for me is Catwoman. Do I need to say it? And the worst of the worst is Son of the Mask. Now, I know that this movie was supposed to be just for laughs. It's supposed to be a lighthearted comedy. I understand that. But come on. We grew up in the PG-13 Jim Carrey 1994, 1995 Mask. They could have done a hell of a lot better than this. And hell, I'd like to see a Mask 2 or Return of the Mask starring Jim Carrey 25 years later just to erase this from existence. But hey, look at it this way. At least none of these movies are Dragon Ball Evolution. But anyway, you guys rank these movies too. From the best